Hey everyone, hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly and today I am going to go through a bunch of books that you all specifically recommended to me, which is, on one hand I feel very seen, on the other hand I feel too seen. You'll all see what I mean in a minute. And I'll get into like the context in the meat of the video. I will say right now that if you are new and you somehow came across this video and clicked on it, then hi, welcome. It's a good time over here. I'm Shelly and I really love books and reading. It's my thing, it's my jam, it's my cup of tea, as they would say. And if you also love books and reading and want to spend time with someone who just gushes and talks really enthusiastically about her reading, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I'm really feeling this like wet look shine on my lids, this like super shiny glossy lid. I'm like living for it today. I keep on feeling myself in it, which is never a bad thing. I just want to point it out. I keep on seeing myself and I'm like, oh, I really love the way my eyes look today. So here's the context. A few weeks ago I put up a community post asking if you could recommend me one specific book, what book would that be? And I got about 60 comments on that post. And so I've been keeping a running list. I have like a part 1 to this video in which I'm reacting to like the books that you've recommended to me, and I got through about, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those recommendations. I've actually read 2 books that were recommended to me. I did it quite naturally. It was just felt like picking them up. One that didn't work super well for me. I figure since I'm here, I'll tell you the books I have and have not read. Elena Knows by Claudia Piñeiro. I really enjoyed the protagonist, Elena, who is somebody who has Parkinson's and is working super hard with her body, against her body, to figure out what happened to her daughter who was recently murdered. And so she's trying to figure out this mystery. What didn't necessarily work for me was the fact that the characters were quite harsh. Now, since posting that video, I've had a couple of comments saying that they actually really liked the sort of brazenness of the characters. Maybe for some people, I can see why so many people really love the book. I get it. I just think that I need something a little bit softer these days. There is just about the 2/3 mark, I was just having a difficult time wanting to read it because it ultimately it made me sorrowful about humanity in my heart. But I could see why people really love the book, and if you love it, keep on loving it. Don't listen to me. And then the other book that I read and I finished actually just yesterday was Foe by Ian Reid, another recommendation, and I loved it. I thought it was incredible. It was a book that blends it's everything I love about science fiction, in that it's a science fiction-esque novel that is, so the premise is that this couple lives in the middle of nowhere and a stranger shows up, and it sounds darker than it actually is. I think the actual book is actually not quite dark, and it's more thought-provoking than it is dark, but it's using science fiction elements in order to explore something about humanity that we don't often think about or explore. And in this case, it was exploring the marriage between the 2 main characters. And it just does it in this really interesting and unique way, and I really liked it. I found it compulsively readable. And yeah, it was great. It was really fantastic. So those were 2 books that were recommended to me that I talked about in my last video that I've read. And we're gonna go on with this video. So we're starting off with kind of an interesting one because this was, for me, it was a head scratcher for me personally, because I've owned a book. Do I still own it? I think I've decluttered it. I have to, wait one moment. Harry is barking. I cannot do this. I cannot. I do not have the patience today to hear him bark. He probably sees a squirrel. This is who he is. It was a squirrel. It could have been a bird, a squirrel, a cat. Harry really gets his bark on with other creatures stepping foot in our yard. And occasionally it's the neighbor's dog. So, you know, there's always a fun time going on in my household. So the first book that is on this list, that's next on the list, is actually from an author I have owned before, and I decluttered his book without reading it. So I have previously thought maybe this author isn't for me, but this is making me second guess my own self. So it was DH Books UK, and they recommended A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. So this is, I have my computer right now, so this is Irving's 7th novel. It tells the story of John Wheelwright and his best friend Owen Meany growing up together in a small New Hampshire town in the 1950s and 60s. According to John's narration, Owen is a remarkable boy in many ways and believes himself to be God's instrument and sets out to fulfill the fate that he has prophesied for himself. So the novel pays homage to Gunter Grass's famous novel, The Tin Drum, which I don't know anything about, so I'm going to go down a tiny rabbit trail. The Tin Drum is the first in the Danzig trilogy. It was made into a film, and the film won an Academy Award, but it's about Oscar Matskeris, I don't know, who is narrated while being confined in a mental hospital from 1952 to 1954. The German one, gosh, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not. Maybe I shouldn't have started with this. I am open to reading A Prayer for Owen Meany. I need to open myself up to John Irving, okay? I need to work on my heartstrings to John Irving, and this is challenging me, and I do like a challenge. My slightly negative comment was going to be that I would almost rather read the original by Gunter Grass, The Tin Drum, rather than the one recommended to me. But that's a negative comment, so I'm not going to actually say that with finality. I'm just, when I think about what's exciting me and what's tickling my heartstrings, you know, the translated Gunter Grass novel sounds really good, and John Irving is just someone that I need to work on, you know, I just need to work on. Maybe y'all can help me with that. The next book I actually own, and the commenter knew that. She knew that I owned this book. And the commenter is someone here on YouTube who just had a baby, and it's Gloria Z. Thompson. She just had a baby. Oh my gosh, super cute little baby. I love seeing new mothers, you know. She's sharing a little bit. I will leave her channel link down below. I will leave her Instagram link down below. And she knew I owned this book, and she was just giving me a gentle word of encouragement in that she was telling me that I would really like it, or she thinks I would really like it. And it is City of Thieves by David Benioff. And the backdrop is kind of brutal because it's set during the Nazi brutal siege in Leningrad. These two characters, Lev and Kolya, and they are thrown into jail for, I don't know, relatively smaller acts. Well, looting. I mean, nowadays, you know, they are for being a deserter and for looting, so they're not that small. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, they're not mass murderers or something. But anyways, so Lev and Kolya, instead of being shot, they're going to try and save their lives by doing an outrageous directive, which is to collect a dozen eggs for the Soviet colonel's daughter's wedding cake. And because this is set during World War II, by the way, obviously Nazis, brutal siege, so on. Since it's set during World War II, it's goods, including eggs, are hard to get. I've heard this is witty and funny and quite light, actually, even though it's set in this backdrop of a very serious setting. But yeah, she said that I would really like it, and I'm happy that she did, because it's reminding me that I want to pick this up. And I'm supposed to be reading this with Deea, who's an amazing person here on BookTube. I'm going to leave both their channels linked down below. So I'm going to put it out there, Deea, that after this week, if you want to read this whenever, I will read this with you. And then I'll have another book read from this list. The next set of books is actually a trilogy, and it was recommended to me by Carmen. So actually I wanted to make sure that I say hey. So I'll say hey to DH Books UK, and hi to Gloria, and now hi Carmen. Carmen Carmen's SIRBU 8585. Okay, so that's the username. But she recommended a trilogy. Very clever, very clever. I love that. So I did say one book, but I am happy to talk about more than one book. But the book is the Notebook Trilogy by Agota Christoph. So this is one of the examples of books that I've like never heard of. Not only have I, which is always really exciting for me because I love learning about new books. But this is just, I've never heard of this book. Never heard of anyone reading it. I haven't heard on BookTube. So I'm going to read what it's about, but this is a translated novel. It's translated from the Hungarian, I believe. Yes, Hungarian writer who lived in Switzerland and wrote in French. So maybe translated from the French. And here they are. So there are 3 internationally acclaimed novels that has confirmed the author's reputation as one of the most provocative exponents of new wave European fiction. I don't even know if I've read any new wave European fiction. And so here is what it is. It tells the story of twin brothers, Klaus and Lucas, locked in an agonizing bond that becomes a gripping allegory of the forces that have divided brothers in much of Europe since World War II. So this postmodern saga begins with The Notebook, which is the first book in the trilogy, in which the brothers are children lost in a country torn apart by conflict who must learn every trick of evil and cruelty merely to survive. I don't know about that. Y'all have to tell me about this book, okay? I'm like, I don't know. In The Proof, which is the title of the second book, Lucas is challenging to prove his own identity and the existence of his missing brother, a defector to the other side. Christian Science Monitor, which I always think Steve Donahue writes everything for the Christian Science Monitor. Steve Donahue is a written book critic. He does it for his work. And he writes for the Christian Science Monitor. So every time I see a quote, I'm like, is that from Steve Donahue? But it is a vision of considerable depth and complexity, a powerful portrait of the nobility and perversity of the human heart. Well, okay. This is another World War II-esque or adjacent novel, which I think it's interesting. I get recommended a lot of World War II books, and now I just lost my tab for book stuff, so let me go pull that up. Next up is a book that Deea from Novel Idea, I just mentioned her, I'm going to be buddy reading City of Thieves with her, but she did recommend me a book, and I saw that book today when I was thrifting, and I didn't pick it up, so whoops. But actually the book wasn't in, it was in an edition, and the condition wasn't, I didn't pick it up not because I didn't want it, but because the cover and the condition sort of prevented me from wanting to pick it up. So the book is Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser, and she says it is like the Odyssey set in Civil War times. Again, y'all sending me books about war or about considering a war, and it is. She said it's like the Odyssey set in the Civil War times. So anyways, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so here it is. So based on local history and family stories passed down by Fraser's great-great-grandfather, Cold Mountain is the tale of a wounded Confederate soldier, Inman, who walks away from the ravages of war and back home to his pre-war sweetheart, Ada. The Odyssey, his odyssey through the devastated landscape of a soon-to-be-defeated South interweaves with Ava's struggle to revive her father's farm, and with the help of an intrepid young drifter named Ruby, as their long-separated lives begin to converge at the close of the war. Inman and Ada confront the vastly transformed world they've been delivered. Okay, that sounds good. Again, I was like, I passed it up. and then I'm doing this video, and I would love to have it, and I've heard really good things about it. Thank you, and hi Deea. You know, hi to everyone so far. Have I said hi to everybody? I think I have. Oh my goodness, I'm just like losing. I'm having one of those days. I'm just having a hard time focusing, and I'm feeling, perhaps on the precipice of being sick. But yeah, so hi Deea, and I'm pretty sure I said hi to everyone else prior to this. The next book was recommended by Stephen N. I think it's 3727. So hi Stephen, hi. So he recommended to me a Russian classic that up until this point I really haven't thought too much about. I've just sort of been like, I don't know. I don't have too much of a desire to read it, but I'm not fighting against it either, you know, that kind of thing. So it is the Brothers Karamazov. So this is a translated work that came out between, I believe it was serialized, 2 years published, in serial from 1887 to 1880. And let's think, what is it about? So set in 19th century Russia. Here, The Brothers Karamazov is a passionate philosophical novel that discusses questions of God, free will, and morality. It is described as a theological drama dealing with problems of faith and doubt and reason in the context of a modernizing Russia. Interesting. I don't know. I know it's quite long, and it's known to be a very challenging read. So, you know, but maybe when I go by a used bookstore, I should keep my eye out for a translation of it, and I should probably look up different translations. You know, all the good stuff. So it's on my radar. So thank you for thank you for like officially putting it on my radar. There was a read along of it last year in December, and I think I need to like read and watch some really positive reviews, because those can be really influential in my desire to want to pick up a book. But I know some of the reading group last year just they had some mixed reactions to the book. So I'm glad that this, like, as we go through the list, it just seems like it's challenging me to rethink authors that I've thought about previously. There you go. The next recommendation is by Victoria Granado, 7424. So hi Victoria, and she actually has another 2 books. Two book recommendation, and not in like a trilogy. She straight up just recommended me 2 books. So I'm excited to look up I'm like looking at my computer in my excitement instead of like looking at y'all. So in my excitement, I'm just like, my eyes are drawn towards this computer here. So anyways, she recommended me 2 books, one book that I have heard of and the other book that I have not. So the first book that I have not heard of is by Marge Piercy, Piercy. In my excitement, I didn't even say the title of the book, which is He, She, It by Marge Piercy. Oh my gosh, my friend Fraser read it and gave it 5 stars. Calm down, Shelly. Calm down. I get very excited about stuff like that, okay? Like another friend for whom I do appreciate their opinions rated it 5 stars. Okay, calm down, girl. In the middle of the 21st century, as life as we know it has changed for all time. So Shira Shipman's marriage has broken up, and her young son has been taken from her by a corporation that runs her zone. Oh my gosh. She is returned to Tikva, the Jewish free town where she grew up. Jewish free as in like there's no Jewish people. There she is welcomed in by Malka, the brilliant grandmother who raised her, and meets an extraordinary man who is not a man at all, but a unique cyborg implanted with intelligence, emotion, and the ability to kill. That sounds amazing. I want it right now. I want that right now, especially since I read Foe, and that worked really well for me. I want this book. Like, oh my gosh, I want it. Stop it. Okay, get yourself together, girl. That sounds amazing. The next book I have heard of, and it's Isabel Allende's House of Spirits. I don't think I own that one. I might own that one from her. I can't remember. I think I own it on my Kindle. Who knows if that's true? I don't know. So, Yeah, Allende is a Latin American author, I believe. And is it Latin American? No, I misspoke. She is a Chilean American novelist, okay? And I know that her books often have a magical, realistic element to them. So she weaves a luminous tapestry of 3 generations of the Trueba family, revealing both triumphs and tragedies. There is a patriarch, Esteban, whose wild desires and political machinations are tempted only by his love for his ethereal wife, Clara, a woman touched by an otherworldly hand. And then their daughter, Blanca, whose forbidden love for a man Esteban has deemed unworthy, infuriates her father, will produce his greatest joy, his granddaughter, Alba. All right. And then, it goes from there. So it's like a love story. I feel like this is, I would really love it. I feel like Allende could be an author for me. I just haven't picked up one of her works yet. But yes, well, thank you. Thank you, Victoria. That was really thoughtful of you. And so I really appreciate that. All right. Next up, I have 2 book recommendations. We kind of are going by 2 by 2. So it's by Lenny Pie or Lenny L-E like Lenny Pie, Lynnniepie, and then 52. So she originally recommended The Trees by Percival Everett. And I was like, oh girl, I've already read that and I love that book. So then she sent me 2 recommendations. The first is The Time in Between by Maria Duenas, which is crazy because I've never heard, not crazy, but like I've never heard of this book, and it has like 41,000 ratings on Goodreads. I'm like, where was I? Where was I when this book came out? And it's translated from the Spanish, I believe. It is a sweeping novel that combines the storytelling power of The Shadow of the Wind with the irresistible romance of Casablanca, which moves at an unstoppable pace. Suddenly left abandoned and penniless in Morocco by her lover, Sira forges a new identity. Against all odds, she becomes the most sought-after couture designer, oh my gosh, for the socialite wives of German Nazi officers. What? But she is soon embroiled in a dangerous political conspiracy as she passes information to the British Secret Service through a code stitched into the hem of her dresses. Oh my gosh. Okay. That sounds amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That sounds really good. It's a word of mouth phenomenon. It's so wild. I've like never heard of this book, and it's her debut, the author's debut. Okay, and then she also recommended The Girl from Guernica by Karen Robards. And this is inspired by Picasso's masterpiece. And so it opens in a small Spanish town, Guernica. 17-year-old CB and her family are caught up in the horror. Griff, an American military attaché, pulls CB from the wreckage, and it's only the first time he saves her life in a span of hours. And that, I guess that would be the first time that he saves her life of multiple times, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure. When Germany claims no involvement in the attack, insisting that the Spanish Republic was responsible, Griff guides CB to lie to Nazi officials. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then like plot ensues from there. Interesting. So 2 World War II fiction novels, which, that's okay. Well, thank you. They both sound good. The Time in Between sounds like really interesting. And then The Girl from Guernica sounds good. But the way whoever wrote the copy for The Time in Between is just like really killing it, because that's the one I want to pick up. I don't know why I'm like pitting them 2 against each other. I guess that's what happens when you get 2 recommendations. One stands out as like, ah. The other one is like, okay, that sounds good. But the other one's like, ah. I hope you all get me today. It might be another one of those off the rails videos. my sweet friend Gemma of Gemma Books. Hi, Gemma. Hi. She recommended a book to me that I read and I quite liked, and it was Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I liked it. It was good. I think that for some people, they love the novel. And I will have to say that that wasn't exactly me, but I did really like it. I especially liked the historical part. And then she left a little note, the historical timeline, because there's 2 timelines. And she said, I can't remember if you read it, but if not, it's chock full of feminist awesomeness. And it really is. It really is. The historical timeline was just perfect. I loved it. The next book was recommended by Emily Cassavan. Emily Cassavan 8678. So hi, Emily. And it is Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. I maybe will consider I will perhaps consider a reading project in which I will read books that I think I will really, really, really love, like 5-star predictions reads, something like that. I know that that's the name on BookTube, but there are some authors that I think I could really get along with, and actually Steinbeck is one that has grown on my heart over the last several years. Despite having read, or in spite of having read The Red Pony and not really loving it, and then like decluttering it or sending it to my brother after I read it. But I feel like there are books like East of Eden and the other one that's very famous, and now Cannery Row, that like I feel that's gonna bother me. I own both of them. It's East of Eden and the other book. I'm not gonna go into it now. I'm sure I will look it up and be like, oh yeah, there it is. But there are just some books that I feel like I will really love by Steinbeck, especially since he's from the Central Valley in California, and that's where I am from. And Cannery Row, I've heard one of my patrons at the library like 10 years ago, I kid you not, he came in, it was a patron and his daughter, had both listened to the audiobook of Cannery Row and said it was like the most amazing experience ever. And it was just fantastic. And so anyways, it's set in Monterey, California. Cannery Row is by Steinbeck. And the thing is that my sister lives in Monterey, and I've been to Monterey. My brother was married in Monterey. I have lots of family out there and like good memories attached to it. So it's a book without much of a plot, which I'm fine with. And it's supposed to capture the feeling of people and a place. And I've been to the Cannery Row district, Cannery District. Gosh, all signs point towards go. Grapes of Wrath. I got there eventually. Who recommended this to me said the characters are next level, and it's supposed to be told in vignettes. Well, it sounds good. Short vignettes, which I'm reading Cranford right now by Elizabeth Gaskell, so I'm doing the Victober thing, and it's good. It's just, I don't know if stories told in vignettes are necessarily my thing. They're not my thing, but I don't know if they necessarily are my thing. I'm not sure. The next recommendation is by Elise C. Elise C. It's 8726. And she said, I can't remember if you've read Homegoing by Ya Gyasi, but that would be her pick for me. And the truth is, I have gotten it from the library, and I have read the first like 50 pages, and then I think I was feeling a little raw, because we get to a point where I think there is a little bit of like a difficult scene, and I remember feeling like really torn open by it. But it could have been that I was just reading a lot of difficult literature at the time, and like I sometimes need a reprieve. And so I set the book aside, and then I moved on to something else. But I don't mind going back to it. And it is a multi-generational, it's not a family saga, but it's like a book that follows many generations. And you see, I think it's 2 sisters, I believe, and you see their paths, like they start off in the same village in their childhood, and then you watch their paths completely diverge based on, you know, what happens essentially, and what that looks like, and you follow the divergence of those paths through generations, and you're checking in with, I think, daughters through time. I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be really good. And I did read Transcendent Kingdom by the same author, and I love that book. So I think I'll really like it. I just need to like get back on the train. Therese, hi Therese. I'm sort of forget. I'm like not keeping track of who I'm saying hi to. So hi. She recommended Wade in the Water, who I've never heard of this book or this author, and it's by Naomi Nkrumah, And this is about an 11-year-old girl, Ella, who lives in a racially divided town in Ricksville, Mississippi, not far from where the Freedom Summer murders occurred. Our main girl, Ella, is too smart for her own good. She loves God, and then she also is keeping a secret. She makes friends with the sharply dressed, well-to-do white woman named Miss St. James, and Miss St. James is apparently putting the whole town on edge. So it's told alternating between Ella's perspective and Miss St. James, moving back and forth in time from the 1960s to the 1980s, and it says that it is an engrossing coming-of-age story that explores the search to define ourselves and free from the tangled web of truths and lies that we are told and the ones that we tell about ourselves. So interesting. I do love a good historical fiction novel. This looks really good, and I like, it's not super long. Oh, and it came out recently, January 2023. All right, well, I am curious. Finally, I'm going to end with this from Rambling Anna, Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. And this is the note that she sent, which is just, it's getting me. The most beautiful way I've ever had my heart broken. The most beautiful way I've ever had my heart broken. Anna, do you know the words to my soul? Okay, so this is, and also, hi Anna, and thank you for sending this in. So, a girl comes of age against the knife. Okay, I wonder if that's the first line. It says, a stunning lyrical novel set in the rolling foothills of the Appalachian, which a young girl discovers stark truths that will haunt her for the rest of her lives. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So it's about Betty Carpenter, born in a bathtub in 1954. To a Cherokee father and a white mother, Betty is the sixth of 8 siblings. Oh my goodness. Well, I can relate. I am the second of 6 siblings. So the world they inhabit is one of poverty and violence, both from outside the family and also devastatingly from within. A lush landscape rich with birdsong, wild fruit, and blazing stars becomes a kind of refuge for Betty but when her family's darkest secrets are brought to life, she has no choice but to reckon with the brutal history hiding in the hills. Oh my goodness. As well as the heart-wrenching cruelties and incredible characters she encounters in her rural hometown of Breathed, Ohio. Well, this sounds good. I remember this book coming out a while back because people were reading it on BookTube when I first started, and I really love the cover. And there's a large print edition being sold at my library, like the library corner, but I just don't want the large print edition, y'all. So I will consider this. It's supposed to be like kind of a longer novel, 480 pages, came out in 2020. So yeah, I don't know. I heard good things about it back then. It's one of the Goodreads Choice Awards. It was nominated for Best Historical Fiction. All right, well, I am curious. So that's all I have time for today, but thank you so much for watching. This is so much fun. Again, I'm always like, I'm so surprised that y'all seem to pick things that I would love to read, and they all sound good, and I'm so inspired to pick something up, and that's actually probably what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to read. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I will leave the original post link down below in case you want to look at it. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.